Hey everybody, Adam here with Hometown Acres. Welcome back. We have right here the newest home backup power system from Bluetti. This is the Apex 300. This unit, as it currently sits right now in May of 2025, is only going to be available as a pre-order unit through a Kickstarter campaign through Indiegogo. I will leave a link in the description below if you want to be one of the first ones to get your hands on this unit. Now, if you look behind me, we have an older system from Bluetti. This is the AC 500, and they have made a significant number of improvements over this setup to this setup, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about here today. Now, our old system, the Bluetti AC 500, is probably 2 or 3 years old. There is nothing wrong with it. It still works and functions and backup powers our house whenever the power does go out. There's just a few quirks about it that I've noticed after using it that are slightly annoying, okay? And the first big difference and big improvement that they made jumping from this unit to this one is that the inverter within the AC 500, this head unit is an inverter only. There is no backup power in this. So if I wanted to take this down and take it to go camping, I have to take at least the inverter, the head unit here, and one expansion battery pack. So no less than 2 units to go camping. If you look at the new Apex 300 here, this inverter, the head unit, also has battery storage in it. So now if I want to take this from being a home backup power unit to take it camping, I can go with as little as just this unit sitting here on top because it has a battery and an inverter all built into one unit. That's really nice. When you want to go mobile, having to get this whole thing down and take 2 is a lot more of a struggle than taking just one. On that note, having battery built into the head unit inverter also saves on space. So if you look, each one of these units has about 2,765 watt hours of capacity. If you multiply that by 3, you get about 8,300 watt hours of electrical storage capacity in these units. If I look at these ones, I have 3 units here as well, and these are actually a little bit bigger. Each one of these expansion batteries has 3,072 watt hours, but this one doesn't have any battery storage. So with 1, 2, 3, I only have 6,100 watt hours with 3 units versus 8,300 with 3 units, all because they jammed some battery storage into this head unit on the new Apex 300. The second big improvement, and I think this might be bigger than having battery storage in the inverter itself, is the fact that now you have one single unit that can put out 240 volts. If you look, I actually have 2 head units here. This is one, and then I've got 4 expansion batteries on top. And the reason for that is when they first came out with this AC 500 unit, this was only capable of putting out 120 volts. And so in order to get 240, which is what you need to back up a house because you have appliances like well pumps and if your dryer is electric or if you have your oven that's electric, all of those appliances require 240 volts to run. If you were to just get this stack right here, you would not be able to power those appliances. Their workaround for that at the time was to come up with, you could put both of these together, and they have a fusion box down here. So if you see there's one cord going in this one cord going in this one, they come together, snake down and into this fusion box. And so each one of these puts out 120, 120, and now you have your 30 amp twist lock plug that puts out 240 volts that you can then go ahead and plug into your panel box in your house. So that is how we have been running for the last 2 or 3 years whenever the power would go out. The downside to that is if your panel box is not balanced, what can happen is you can drain one side faster than the other side. And this has happened to me on numerous occasions because let's say you're doing a load of laundry or something and you're pulling a lot of power off of this battery bank and not so much on this one. As soon as one bank drains before the other, you're done. You don't have any more power. You don't have 240 coming into this, which is then supplying no more power to your panel. So there's been instances where this side has drained to 0 and I still have 35 or 40% left on this battery. With the new Apex 300 being all in one unit, it's all one bank pulling from the same place. You don't have to worry about whether your panel is balanced between A phase and B phase, A phase and B phase. Basically, in a perfect world, this would work great if your A phase and B phase were pulling the same amount of power all the time, and then they could drain evenly. But as I said before, that doesn't happen. And with this, having 240 volt coming out of one unit gets rid of that problem altogether. Now, I already mentioned that each unit here is about 2,700 watt hours or 2.7 kilowatt hours of battery capacity. And Bluetti states that this Apex 300, you can put a system together that will hold 58,000 watt hours or 58 kilowatt hours of battery capacity. And if you do the math on that, 58,000 divided by 2,700 works out to roughly 20 or 21 units that you could put all of these in series and have. I mean, so let me back up here. This AC 500, these are 3,100 watt hours each. I have a total of 12,000 watt hours of backup power with my old setup, and we have tested this in the past. I can get roughly about 18 hours of home backup with 12,000 watt hours. So if I do that same math and I say, okay, if I had the full system here, 20 or 21 expansion batteries, and I had 58,000 watt hours, the math, based on what I know on what my average watt hour use is, I think I could get about 87 hours of runtime, which is roughly 3.5 to 4 days worth of backup. And that is assuming that you are not topping off the batteries with an external generator or solar panels or anything like that. Granted, that would be an expensive unit to have 21 expansion batteries with this setup, but you would be good for 4 days with no other external source to top these things back off. Obviously, if you had solar panels, you could stretch that quite a bit longer. As far as power output that you can expect to get from this unit, they say that it is rated for 3,840 watts. Now, that is a little bit of a drop from our old AC 500, which is rated for 5,000 watts. However, I have run the house off of this. You do have to be a little judicious on what you run. You know, you're not going to be wanting to run your well pump and your dryer and your oven and your microwave and your coffee pot all at the same time. But I do not have a transfer switch. And what I mean by that, if you're not familiar with the different ways that you can back up your home with power, there's two different options. Well, I guess three. The first option is a transfer switch, which is where you take out all of your essential circuits, right? So the lights, your well pump, your fridges and freezers, all of the things that you cannot go without during or in the event of a power outage, you put those breakers on a separate panel, and you put a transfer switch in here that basically says you're going to shut off this whole panel and you're going to generator backfeed just those 6 or 8 essential circuits. I'm not a big fan of that. I like what's called an interlock. So what happens is I would go ahead and kill my main breaker. That would then allow me to slide this interlock kit up, and then this is my generator backfeed breaker here, and I would flip that on, and now I have power to every breaker in the entire house. And I can, again, you have to be more judicious with that so that you don't trip the breaker on one of these units. But as long as you're smart about it, it doesn't limit you as much as to picking 6 or 8 breakers to power everything. But back to my point, I have run this unit on the whole house with the interlock system here, and I haven't tripped the breaker yet. Now, again, granted, I'm being cautious and not running too many things at one time, but this by itself is enough. However, if you need more power than that, Bluetti does offer, you can hook up to 3 of these in parallel and go from 3.8 kilowatts up to 11.2 kilowatts, which 11.2 kilowatts should be plenty to power everything in the house and really not have to take too much care. You should be able to live like normal with 11.2 kilowatts, I would think. The third biggest upgrade that's important to somebody like me using this system as a backup home power system that Bluetti made with the Apex 300 over the AC 500 is they made it so that this can be a gas generator pass-through, meaning that you can actually be recharging this system at the same time that it is powering the house. You could not do that with the old AC 500. If you wanted to recharge this system, you could do it while it was powering the house with solar, but if you wanted to plug a gas generator into this to recharge it, you had to kill the power to the house, run the gas generator to the house, and then recharge this through the whole inner workings of the electrical system of the house, which was kind of inefficient to have to disconnect, reconnect, all that. With the new setup here, you can have this all hooked up to the house, and as you're getting closer to 0% power, you could plug your gas generator in and recharge these. Now I realize that might sound kind of silly to have a battery backup system for your house and then to plug in a gas generator when you could just bypass this whole thing and just use the gas generator to go right into the house and skip all of this. Well, let me lay out a scenario for you. Let's say you are without power for 2 days. We have already said that this system here should power the house for 12 to 18 hours, okay? And this is gonna run the house completely silently inside the garage here with no fumes, okay? But at the end of 12 hours, the system's gonna be drained. You could either recharge it with solar or with a gas generator. This system should be able to recharge with a gas generator within a few hours, and then you'll be back up to full again and running the house again for another 12 to 18 hours. So in that situation where you are without power for 2 days or so, if you were just having a gas generator, that generator would be running for the full 48 hours. Whereas with this situation, or having the Apex 300 here, you can run silently, quietly with no gas generator for 12 to 18 hours, then fire up the gas generator, recharge in a couple hours, shut the gas generator back off, and be good for another 12 to 18 hours. So if you look at the cumulative time that that gas generator would have been running without this, it's 48 hours versus probably 5 or 6. So I just like the idea of having the house backed up quietly, no fumes. It's all contained inside. With a gas generator, it's gonna be sitting out running in the elements. And whether that's, you know, a rainstorm, a windstorm, a snowstorm, an ice storm, whatever it is, I like having my backup power sitting in here inside the garage. So that is my review of the new Apex 300. Like I said, they are running a Kickstarter campaign here. I will leave a link in the description if you want to be one of the first ones to get your hands on one of these new units. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, give me a big thumbs up, click that subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.